Good afternoon, everybody. This is Kris Mukherji with the Law Office of Kris Mukherji, here with another interview of somebody that I highly respect and I believe is a spectacular human being, Alex Terranova. Alex, thank you for being on today, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for asking me to do this.
So Alex is a master in more than one area. Alex is an author of Fictional Authenticity. Fantastic book. If you haven't picked it up, pick it up, read it. It's awesome. He is a podcaster. He's got 3 podcasts out there: the Dream Mason podcast, the Coaching Show podcast, and Flip the Lens podcast. All these podcasts can be found on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or whatever your podcast platform is. So one of the reasons I have Alex on today is Alex is a coach. He's a business coach. He's helped many people in their lives, in their business, in gaining a healthy balance and identifying issues in their workplace. And I'll be honest, he's one of my coaches that I've utilized. And I think it's important to have a coach in business and life that can kind of provide you with guidance and help you navigate the blind spots. And I brought Alex on today because we're in an interesting time with everything going on. Small businesses are hurting. People are hurting. Lives are hurting. And I think this is an important topic to chat with Alex about, to kind of figure out how coaching and guidance can help and how to be able to identify certain blind spots in your business that may be hindering your growth, and where do we go from here? So Alex, once again, welcome, my friend.
Thanks for having me again.
Let me ask,
where do you want to start?
Let me ask right off the bat, what do you see going on these days with small business owners in their lives?
Oh man, we're in a space that we've never been in before as human beings, right? We've had a lot of problems. We've always had problems. We have the same problems as human beings we've had for hundreds of years, whether they be hunger or not enough money or us hurting each other, wars, whatnot. But when I say we're in a space we've never been in, I don't know that there's ever been a moment in time where every continent, country, city was actually being impacted by the same thing, right? World War II didn't touch every island, every, country. Lot, but COVID and what's going on with this has touched the entire planet. So I think this is unique, and I don't think anyone actually knows what to do with this as a whole, and we don't know where it's going. And I think one of the interesting points, I'm going to kind of bring it back to America, is there's been a lot besides this that's happened in 2020. I kind of have joked earlier today with somebody that it seems like 2020 is testing us. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna give you this, and I'm gonna give you this, and I'm gonna give you this. And who are you gonna be about it? How are you gonna show up? Who are you gonna be about all these things I'm slinging at you? Because 2020 didn't take away all the normal problems that you normally have. So you have all the things that you normally have in your life, and now we have all of these things also. So I think that's the overriding question that I ask myself every day, that I think we talk about, that I bring to all my clients, that any small business owner that talks to me, is who are you going to be about it? I get it. The economy is, who knows what's even going on with the economy, right? It's like we get bad news and the stock market goes up, and then the next day there's like some good news and it goes down. We don't know. It doesn't even make sense. But who are you going to be about yourself, your family, your business, despite what happens? Most of us are reactive. Something happens and we react to it. So I come in and I tell you, Kris, hey, these are the new rules for your business. And you're like, oh my God, how am I going to make money now? You go into panic. I would say to you, hey, who are you going to be about this? You don't get to choose everything. You don't run the world or even the city. So who are you going to be about what happens? And you might.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by who are you going to be about it?
Sure. So here's a good example that I think a lot of people can connect with. When we're in a relationship, and all relationships have disagreements and fights. A lot of people in these disagreements and fights in their relationship, whether it be with your partner, in your business, or your romantic partner, we're like trying to win arguments. And I could ask you, Kris, hey, how does it go when you try to fight with your wife and you try to win that argument?
I lose, Alex. I lose all the time.
And I bet, and look, and she probably feels like she loses too. And I think
Probably.
I know you're a great lawyer, especially when it comes to partnerships and helping people set up powerful partnerships for if it goes well or if it happens to not go well. But I think one of the things is we're built to like compete and win. And when we enter into relationships, we bring that competition and winning. So when we get in debates or arguments, we want to win against our partners. So when I say who you're going to be about it, if you're going into a sit down with your partner, business partner, romantic partner, whatever, we can notice, oh, we're trying to win. We're trying to beat them. We're trying to get what we want. We're trying to be right. And I could say, hey, Kris, who are you committed to being when it comes to your wife? And I know you, so I know you're committed to love. And you're committed to your family thriving and having opportunities and doing well. And you're not committed to being better than your wife. So why are you trying to beat her in an argument, right? This is all hypothetical. I want to make sure people know this is hypothetical. This is not a real conversation me and you are in. But so, and we could apply that to anything, right? So if you came to me and you're a small business owner and you own, let's just say you sell knives, you sell the best knives. And you're like, man, can't sell knives. Like the economy's bad. Nobody's buying new knives. And I watched what's going on. I'm like, you got a pretty negative attitude. You are berating your salespeople for not selling enough knives. You're not actually connecting with them on what are they challenged with? How can we help them improve? You are trying to hustle and like shove knives down people's throats. What if you took on selling knives from a different way of being? Like you said, man, I'm going to go out there and see and connect with people. I'm going to go out there and knock on doors and see what people are actually dealing with in their lives. Now, I don't know if you'll sell more knives or not, but I know you're going to do better than when you were trying to shove them down someone's throat. So the idea is we're really good at the doing. We're really good at picking up the phone and making phone calls, taking action, telling people what we need, and the kind of like the to-do list, but we're not practiced at how we show up. Who are we going to be in our relationships? Are we going to be loving and kind? Are we going to be empathetic? Are we going to be curious? Are we going to be the know-it-all? Are we going to be the jerk? Are we going to be the dictator? Or are we going to be the catalyst for change? Right? Like, as these are all ways of being. And I would say if you choose your way of being, then choose your actions from that way of being.
I love that. And, it's interesting because when we talk about in businesses, as a business law attorney, I get to work with businesses from fitness industry to healthcare providers, whoever it may be. And one of the things I approach them and talk to them about during this time is we need to look to see how we ourselves can change what we're doing in our business to move with the times. Right. So it's very easy for us to sit and say, okay, you know what, play the victim role and blame everything that's going on. It's easy to do that. That's the easiest thing that we can all do. Right. It's a tougher thing to say, okay, you know what, we are in this tough time. Right. There are things that I can control. There's things that I cannot control. Right. What can I control? And what can I do to change or grow in the times? So what are you seeing from the businesses that you're working with and coaching and helping them identify where they are in their lives and their business, and maybe pivoting to thinking differently and adapting during these times?
Yeah, I think you touched on the being perfectly when you said because you're being a victim, right? It's a mindset, it's a mentality, it's a way you relate and show up in the world.
Absolutely.
And anything could happen to you. You could view the world as falling apart right now. You don't have to be a victim about it. You could see everything going on. And I like how you posed it in control, because there are things you can control and there's not, right? You can't control if there's an earthquake or if your house falls down or there's a hurricane or if the government changes the laws that suddenly impacts your business. Out of your control. But we can control who we're going to be about it. So that's like where I would say when I'm working with people, that's where we start. And I think that's the biggest thing you can take away is who are you going to be about it? So now we got that out of the way. And if I'm looking at what I can control, I can control my mindset. So I can control things like how much sleep I get. I can control things like what kind of foods I put in my body. control things like exercise. I can control how I show up in the relationships I have. I can even control who I'm going to be, to come back to this, about the things that happen. But I can't necessarily control the things that happen. And I think we spend a lot of time trying to control all these things that we can't control. I know you know this, and we kind of joke about this, like all the people fighting about politics and whether they like or don't like the president. Like, I'm sorry, but you're wasting your time and your energy, because you going to your family and telling them that the president is great or not great is not changing their opinion about the president. They're pretty much set where they are. And what is it doing? Great, go to the change you can make is like, hey, you could go phone bank, you could make phone calls if you don't like it or you do like it. You can go through, I want to say, political platforms to help people get elected or not get elected. But we spend a lot more time in the drama, in the talking shit or crap about other people, the looking for what's wrong, the colluding about all these things that actually don't create any change. I joke about this with my mom all the time. She loves watching and my mom's pretty good. She watches MSNBC, CNN, and Fox. She wants to see all the perspectives. But I'm like, Mom, you watching this stuff isn't making anything go differently. It's just getting your head swirling about it. And how is that making any difference? Great. She's like, well, I have more knowledge. For what? What are you doing with all this knowledge? And I think that's another place, is like, we're obsessed with knowledge. You know, people tell me, oh, I'm going to take a class. Great. And then what? You take all the classes in the world. You know lawyers that have no businesses. I know coaches that have had all the training and have no clients. Ultimately, it comes down to like, what are you going to do with all this? Who are you going to be about it? How are you going to put it into action? And so the things that come up with clients that I'm working with, and even other coaches I know, are, what are they doing? So I had a conversation with a lawyer actually today that I was talking to, and I was like, you have other ways to make money besides clients. You just haven't thought about what they are, right? You as a lawyer, Kris, can get clients that walk in and they hire you to put together some contracts. Kris, you could write an ebook on everything that a lawyer needs to know about, like that lawyers should know about partnerships, or clients should know about partnerships, and sell it on Amazon for $5.99. I bet you could write an ebook with all you already have, edit it, clean it up in a week or two. You could have it on Amazon for sale, selling it to generate revenue. You could go on to Udemy or Kajabi and create a course for, as a lawyer, you have the knowledge, you have the experience, how to create powerful partnerships. These are the 10 steps to powerful partnerships. And you could create a course and sell it for $69.99 and be out there marketing it, right? These are things you can do.
And these are things that, we've talked about. You and I have talked about how to pivot and change and look at things differently. And an interesting fact is, before COVID, I remember I'm part of an organization where we put on trainings and education material for other attorneys. And we had a situation where, they reached out and they asked, how do you market your business? What are you doing in our small group of bringing in, clientele to the business? And I said, well, I was one of the younger ones in that group. And I said, I like to use, social media marketing, SEO, whatever else may be the case. And I remember I presented this to, these attorneys. And I was surprised at how many of them were not open to the idea of that. They looked at, social media marketing, and they looked at SEO as something that was, that's not what we do. We're in the, handshake and, kiss babies and pat asses kind of world that we live in, right? No pun intended, obviously. But it was difficult to get them to see, what Zoom was. And as somebody who's had Zoom for the last 3 years, now we're in a position where if you don't have Zoom, you're in the minority, right? If you don't have some sort of video access, you're in the minority. But what I looked at it was, I now have the ability to be able to do these interviews that I wanted to do, to be able to talk to clients, to be able to talk to people, without having to meet them face-to-face necessarily, right? It made my job significantly easier. I'm able to communicate with you and do this great interview with you over Zoom, right? I'm able to talk to great people over Zoom. I'm able to interview clients over Zoom. And that made our lives a lot easier. So the question became is, how do I pivot from this? And you and I, when we talk about what are different things that I can do to increase revenue, to change my business, to get other clients that I maybe haven't approached in the past, right? And so the idea of ebooks and everything else is identifying that. And I think a lot of it, you know, you'd agree, is businesses and business owners are failing to identify what their blind spots are, and therefore they're not, you know, they're so stuck in this tunnel vision area where they're unable to see that they're tripping over their own legs most of the time, right? Is that what you're seeing with some business owners, and how do you recommend they overcome these blind spots they're in?
Well, there's two things that I want to, there's three actually. One, and we all know this, and it's like so obvious, but yet when we're in it, we can't see it. We don't like change, right? Like nobody does. Like these lawyers you're talking about, they don't want to do things differently. It's comfortable to do things the way we've always done it. But this is the thing, if it's not working for you, if you and I ate the things we ate when we were younger and exercise the way we were, as you get older, you're going to get progressively fatter. That's just fact. Like your metabolism slows down and your body doesn't regenerate the way it was. You have to adapt and change. It's not weird if I said to you, hey, Kris, you're getting a little older. You're going to have to do a little more cardio. You're going to have to watch what you eat. You wouldn't like think that was insane. You'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But when it comes to our lives, like we're so resistant to change that we push so hard and we sabotage ourselves. And I think a great practice, there's a great thing anyone can do right now, is like take out a piece of paper and write 10 to 25, you can go as long as you want, but 10 to 25 would be a challenge for most people. 10 to 25 things you can do or ways you could make more money, grow your business. And I don't mean things that you're going to do 5 years from now. I mean things you could do within like the next month or so. And the challenge is most people are going to go, oh, I got like one or two. No. I want you to write down things you wouldn't even do. Like, Kris, you're probably not going to go dance on tables at the local, you know, bar, not because COVID won't allow you to, but because your wife might have a problem with it. But that's the thing. You putting everything down on the paper will get your creative juices flowing. So you standing on a street corner begging for money, you're probably not going to do that either. But like, let's just get it all out there. Let's see what could show up if you're willing to just be creative and have fun. I tell people, like, laugh about this exercise. Put things on there that you know you'd never do. I probably wouldn't put anything that's illegal. I would just take those off immediately. But then once you get 10 to 25, go through and what could I actually do and what would I be willing to do? And force yourself. Don't let I don't know be an acceptable answer. Take it off the table and come up with some stuff. You know, I don't know anything about being a lawyer, and I just created 2 ways that things you could do right now on the spot. The other 2 points I want to hit on is there's 2, I don't know if they're theories, I don't know what the word is, but there's an idea called cognitive dissonance, which is like what we say and what we do don't line up. So you say you want a successful business, but you show up to work late, you leave early. Your actions and your thoughts don't align. Now we could talk about that being an integrity breakdown. We could talk about all sorts of things, but there is a actual theory in, like, I guess it's psychology, that talks about how we as human beings do this all the time. We say we want to be healthy, yet we're eating pizza and drinking beer. We say we love our wives, but we're out at a bar flirting with somebody. Like, people do this on a regular basis. Bosses talk about how they want to have a company that shows that they care about people, but then they're like not ever asking the employees what matters to them. And so we actually have to look at those blind spots. Like, hey, where are my thoughts and my actions not in alignment? And the third one is our implicit bias. We have bias that we don't even realize we have. And that might be bias against other groups of people, other ideas, but I think we also have it against ourselves. We have an implicit bias that I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. No, you're not. Like, that's all made up. You've been practicing being a good introvert or extrovert, but who said like that's how it has to be forever?
That's a very interesting point. You know, you saying that we're practicing that, because it's true. I think, you know, early on people will identify growing up that, oh, you know, mom and dad identified me as an introvert, and all of a sudden that becomes their identity, right? They're essentially practicing being in that position, right? And it's true, it's a part of that. And then going back to your second point, talking about cognitive dissonance, you know, an element of that is, you know, everybody wants to be a certain thing. They want to be rich, they want to be wealthy, they want to be successful, but no one wants to put in the work for that, right? Or I shouldn't say no one, but people have a hard time putting in the work for that. And that applies to fitness, that applies to, work, that applies to your general health in every capacity. And so how do people overcome that? What do they do to overcome this cognitive dissonance?
Well, what you just said too, I want to know why people want the things that they want, because I think that's going to get them a lot further. So when we say to people, it's like, why do you want to start your own business? Or let's say you have your own business. Why do you want to hit $6 million in revenue this year, whatever your goal is? And people are like, well, because it's a challenge, and then I'll be able to get that house and I'll have financial freedom, whatever people say, right? Like, who knows what it is? I want to know, but what's that going to get you? Because if I just want to make a bunch of money so I can be as good as Kris Mukherji, okay, and then what? Like, what that motivation is probably going to dry up or not last that long. What's the thing? And I think what most people want is fulfillment. They want love. They want happiness. They want to experience life, the fullness of life. They want adventure. These kinds of things I think are at the end of the road. And I think we flip it. So typically what people do is they're like, I want to be happy. I want to be satisfied. I want to be free to travel and see the world. Okay. So you're like, I'm going to build a company and make $6 million so I can have all those things. But ultimately, and I think we see this as evidence, so many successful people are still unhappy because they have it backwards. You don't create something outside of you to get an inside of you feeling. That's not a real thing. And we all do this in our relationships. We're like, oh, if I just get, I heard in a movie the other day, the woman in this movie, and it's a movie, right? So it's not real. The woman was like, I always thought that when I found the perfect man, I'd be happy. No, you got to be happy first, then you'll find the perfect man. And I think we could apply that to anything. You want to be happy? Start practicing being happy with what you have, being grateful, finding the little joys in the moments of life, and then bring that, show up as a happy person and build a business from there. I know I want to work with happy people a lot more than I want to work with bitter people who are trying to be successful. You want to be fulfilled. Find fulfillment now. Bring fulfillment as the catalyst to how you show up. Fulfillment as the catalyst to how you build your business. Like, flip it around. So I'm generating from the inside out versus the outside in, which is not possible. Does that, did I answer? I feel like I answered the question, but
absolutely, man. You hit a very key point there. Fulfillment is the catalyst to happiness. Fulfillment is the catalyst to a successful business, right? You have to be happy within your skin where you are. If you're not, then you're not going to be happy regardless of what you have, right? That's a key element there. And the key element of what I also heard there was, and we always talk about this, is identifying your why, right? What is your why? Why is it that these things that you want, whether it's business or success or whatever else may be the case, what is the catalyst that drives you to do that? Allows you to wake up early in the morning, right? Or go to bed late at night. What is it that motivates you to do that, right? It's interesting because we were talking about fear not controlling those aspects, but the desire controlling it. And the desire being our why, whether it's our family, our loved ones, our children, whoever else it may be at that point. So.
Yeah, and I want to just touch on that, because fear is just something we're going to respond to, right? Fear isn't there; it shows up, right? You're in your home, somebody breaks in, fear shows up. You're going along and you find out you get a meeting with your boss, fear shows up, right? You see that person you want to ask out, fear shows up. It wasn't necessarily there the whole time. And your why is a choice. Your why is something it doesn't show up and you have to react to it. You get to choose your why. You get to say, like for me, one of the things I love about doing a podcast like this, doing my own podcast, it's like people are like, why do you have 3 podcasts? It's so much work. Because it actually lights me up. Like, I love podcasting days. They're my favorite days because I feel like one of my why is to be of value, to contribute to the world, to life. And that is such a broad thing, right? But like right now, I get to contribute to this thing that you're putting together, your show, these videos. I get to contribute to everyone that's listening. Like, maybe they take a piece away. And the thing is, me generating that from within comes back around, and then I feel good. Like, it works. I feel good doing it. I know that it impacts. It comes back around. It feels good. It's like a full circle. And that becomes my why. So when I wake up in the morning and it's like, why do I get out of bed and go to yoga super early? Why do I meditate every day? Well, because those things support my ability to be clear-minded, to put my shit to the side and not dump all my crap all over my clients and the podcasts I'm doing, and show up powerfully so I can be the man I want to be when it comes to like contribution and adding value.
And Alex, I love that. I could probably talk to you for hours, and you know this. So, you know, whenever we have our calls, I'm like, every time I speak with you, I feel like it enlightens me. I'm ready to move forward and tackle my week and check in with you. And I greatly appreciate that. I greatly appreciate everything you stand for. And you're a friend, a coach, a mentor, and I look forward to talking to you all the time. I greatly appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedule to be here today. And again, people who are watching this, you know, you can check out Alex again, the Dream Mason podcast, the Coaching Show podcast, the Flip the Lens podcast, on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, whatever your podcast, you can find them on there.
Just go, if you want more, I mean, I just tell you, like, go to thedreammason.com, thedreammason.com. You can get, there's so much, like, you don't have to give me any money. You don't have to do anything. There's like a ton of things you can listen to for free. You can like download things for free. You can type in my name on Amazon and find like some ebooks and actually my book. But I'm really,
right here.
You know, I'm committed to giving people value and helping people.
Authenticity. So. I highly recommend getting this book. And once again, the website was thedreammasonpodcast.com. I'm going to put that.
No, just thedreammason.com.
Oh, I apologize. Thedreammason.com. I'm going to put that link below so you guys can click on that. Once again, Alex, thank you so much for being on. I greatly appreciate it. Wealth of knowledge. Hopefully we can do this again. You know, maybe one day face-to-face, a longer podcast, and maybe bring what you have to offer to the world.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks for having an impact on other people and taking your time to actually do this, because you're busy too, man. Thank you.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, my friend, and look forward to chatting with you again.
Sounds good.
Take care, buddy.